This is the headstock of my Jet 1840 EVS lathe. A few months ago, it started making some noises, some knocking sounds, some rubbing sounds, sounds that weren't normal. When it's running normally, it's nice and quiet, no issues. But at that time, just was making this awful sound, and the lathe is 3 years old, about 3.5 years old. And I figured it was bearings, but it didn't seem to be old enough to need bearings yet, even though I do sort of punish my lathe. I turn a lot of out of round, off balance pieces. I know the jarring of hitting the chisel as it comes around can wear on those bearings. So I assumed that was it, even though I thought it was too soon for it to happen. So I called the place where I bought this lathe, which is a Jet dealer in Auburn, Washington, and I described it to him, and he said, well, we can put new bearings in there, or we can order them and you can put them in there. Well, I've never put in bearings in my life. I've never had the need. He says it's about a 15-minute job. And I said, well, I'll bring you the headstock. And he says, well, why don't you try tightening the handle, this handle right here. He says it might be as simple as that. So I said, okay. So I came out here the next day and I'll show you what I did. First, I'm going to show you what this spindle consists of. This is the inboard side of the spindle. This is all one piece. It looks like several different pieces, but it's all machined out of one piece. This is where I screw my chuck on. This is a bearing, and inside of that bearing is a bushing, and inside of that bushing is another bearing. Inside the headstock, way over here where you can't see, is the speed sensor for my digital readout. And then the spindle itself, and then this double pulley, which is actually a single piece, and it has a set screw right there. I think you can see that, and another set screw on this side. That was the first thing I did, was tighten up those set screws when I heard that sound, but they were tight. I tightened up the lower pulley as well, which also has two set screws down here, and they were tight. Over here we have this black metal block here with 2 grooves in it, and what that's for is to lock the spindle, and that locks the spindle, and there's 2 places you can do that, two sides of that block that allow you to lock your spindle in place. Then on the outboard side over here, there's another bearing right at the end of this handle. There's another bearing there. So this has 3 ball bearings in it. 2 on the inboard side, 1 on the outboard side. Then we have our handle. This handle screws on. Because it's on the outboard side, it's a left-hand thread, so you tighten it by turning it to the left. So you loosen these 2 set screws, this one and this one. Then you lock the spindle in place and grip this handle and turn it to the left, and that's how I solved the problem. Now, it's not easy to grip this little handle. I wish it was a nice big hand wheel, but there's not a lot of room for that. So I actually had to put a non-slip glove on in order to get enough grip to turn it to the left. The first time I did it, it turned, I wouldn't even say 1/8 of a turn, not even hardly noticeable. Just I don't know, you know, from here to here, just a slight amount. I tightened up the 2 set screws, the noise went away. It was great for about 3 months. Recently, I think a week or so ago, it happened again. So this time I knew how to fix it. The first time it took me 5 minutes, the second time it took me 2 minutes. And that was mostly finding the wrench to loosen these 2 set screws. But to tighten this, you really have to really turn on it. I think what's happening, I think the problem is somewhere in here, the bearings didn't get pressed in all the way, maybe. Or maybe that bushing wears. slop occurs in this spindle. There doesn't appear to be any slop. You know, I'm pushing on the inboard side and I'm pushing on the outboard side. It doesn't seem to move, but that must be the issue. I don't know what else it could possibly be. Something is giving way between here and the inboard side, and there's just not that much in there to do it. So it's got to be that bushing, or the bearings didn't get pressed on the spindle all the way in. I don't know. I just don't know. But I know that loosening those two screws, turning this to the left with a lot of pressure, ever so slightly, the second time I did it, it was half or less than half of the first time I did it. Just the smallest amount, and that noise went away. Tighten these two up, you're golden. So it's a real easy fix. I don't know the problem, but like I say, I think it's just slop in there somewhere. What I'm hoping is that eventually, if it does it another time or two, eventually it'll stop doing it, because I've pulled the bearings in and I've pulled that bushing in, or I don't know. I'm hoping that at some point it'll stop doing it. I don't know what else to tell you. That's what this video is about, is how to fix noise in your Jet 1840. I would imagine the Jet 1640 is the same way. I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone else having this issue. A lot of people have commented that theirs was loose pulleys or loose something else. I can't remember. But in my case, this is the issue. Some kind of slop in that spindle. So I hope that helps you. Maybe I just got a lemon. I don't know. That could be. Maybe no one else will ever have this problem. Thanks for watching.